Hey, Miss Pat. Don't get up.
I'm finally warm. We told,
James Fires.
James, nice to meet you.
we told Mark that when we
Again.
left the other night,
Your
we
friend.
got to our car and we started driving off and we had a flat tire.
Oh, no.
And so
I'm so
we
sorry.
stopped and we had a compressor in the back of the car. We had a little bit they went to, because I kept thinking, Dennis have to get out here in the cold and change the tire, but we actually were able to air it up enough to get home.
And y'all,
And
you
then we
changed your
took it,
truck?
no, we took it this morning and had it fixed.
Yes, I'm sorry, man.
I've gone years with
A
that.
team punctured your tire, so they went around the parking lot, punched tires.
Yeah, it wasn't bad.
I think it's Dwayne Ham or something.
Dwayne. Not Dwayne.
I got that on tape. No, I
It's like Will, maybe Will, but not Dwayne. I love that guy. I have really gotten close to him. It's really kind of funny. Everybody's been trying to stay away from him, but Johnny and I have really kind of gotten close to he and his wife.
Well, he's actually kind of disappeared from
Well,
He
he
hasn't
got
been
in a
out
wreck,
productive.
and he and I mean, we stay in contact with each other. And funny thing about him, I'm staying in contact with all of them. But he got in a wreck, and he totaled his truck, kind of sent him for a spin, and I really didn't know if he was going to file. And then he came back,
Yeah.
strong. As strong as Dwayne can come back. But he's a good guy. I've enjoyed
I
just
know
getting to
that
know him on a surface
in the
level.
different announcements that I go to and the different meetings I go to, he hasn't been active. You know, usually you see candidates
Yeah.
everywhere you go.
Well, he had a couple of meetings where he wasn't wearing his name tag, and I said, Dwayne, what is going on with you? And he goes, well, I've been in a wreck, and I'm kind of off my game, and so.
So what we're gonna do here, we're gonna take 3 to 5 minutes to kind of who you are, what you're running for, why you're running, why you're the best guy. Then we'll just go around the room, try to keep it like 1 to 3 minutes.
Mhm.
2 minutes is, I'm gonna keep it under 2 minutes. Some questions you do a 3. We'll just go around, and then at the end we'll have a 2-3 minute kind of wrap up.
Super. And now, how many of you do not know me? I don't want to repeat. We can get into questions a lot quicker if you know my bio and what I'm about. I think I know pretty well everybody here.
Well, it's not just for us. These videos are going to be posted on our website.
Oh, okay,
People can
great.
look up.
All right, well, great. Well, I'd love to do that then. My name is Ted Seago, and I'm running for State House District 16. I was approached in the spring by 6 different individuals in Austin while I was working to get the pro-life bills passed. I've been involved for the last 3 sessions, working very diligently with state reps and state senators to pass our conservative pro-life bills and other bills that come up. I found myself in the last 6 sessions being very much a patriot and a citizen of Montgomery and for the state of Texas. As a pastor, our church is very involved politically. I started the church 10 years ago on the premise that citizenship should be an outpouring of discipleship, and that we are caretakers of this kingdom that God put us here to take care of. And the way we do that is we vote, and we get involved in the political process. And so everybody that comes to Grace Community Church knows that they're joining a team of Christian warriors, happy warriors, as we say over in the Texas Patriot Pack, with those guys. And I like that term because we do have to be happy in the Lord. We have to understand who we are. Our faith drives us. But we also have to stand up against unrighteousness. So we found ourselves last spring spending many, many days in Austin, especially in the 2nd and 3rd sessions, fighting to get pro-life bills passed. Once we had some failure in leadership there and did not get out of calendars. I don't know how many of you guys have been involved in the bill writing and passing process. And I'll assume that you know a little bit about that, but it is very difficult. And I've found that out in the last 3 sessions, spending so much time on the Hill, going from door to door and meeting with representatives and senators, talking to them about the conservative values, conservative principles that we hold true here in Montgomery County, working alongside with Representative Creighton and Representative Coates and all the other reps that share our values. There's some camaraderie there in Austin where you know who you are, you know who's with you and who's not. And it was sad for Johnny and I to realize there's a lot of squishy rhino types in Austin that you think they're going to be with you on these different bills, and you get to that point. So I really felt like I spent as much time in Brian Hughes' offices and Matt Krause's and all these other guys It seemed like as they did, but it was good experience for me as a patriot, not as a candidate. Had no idea about being a candidate until at the end of the session, we're sitting in Governor Perry's press office with just a assortment of leaders on the conservative side, probably about 20 of us in that room. I don't think anybody around this table was there with us, but Texas Right to Life leadership, Steve and his crew, and then John and his crew, and just different folks wearing the blue shirts. And right outside our door, they were screaming. The orange shirts were just so incredibly ugly and obnoxious. And we knew that night, it was about 11 o'clock, we knew that night was going to be a great victory for the principles and conservative values you hold true, and I do. And it did. It happened that night. But that night, as the night went on, different men began to say, Ted, I need to talk to you. And they pulled me over the corner. And they'd seen my work for that session and the last 3 sessions. And, when we have Texas Right to Life President Jim Graham said, Ted, we want you to consider running. We just heard that Brandon's not going to run. And then Steve came to me and said, Ted, I need to meet with you. We just heard Brandon's not going to run. We want you to run. And then John set me up. And then my son John, who's legislative director for Texas Right to Life, he said, Dad, I think there might be an opportunity there. They're going to come after you. Great. Dave Welch with Houston area, Texas area pastor council came to me. One by one, people began to ask me. It's the first time I ever thought about running, because I've always supported candidates and been involved in campaigns. But you look behind you, realize I'm probably the most experienced guy, as Steve says in on my website. I'm probably one of the most experienced guy getting bills passed that's not elected, in Texas right now. And so I waited, Johnny and I waited to see who would file. And I talked to Brandon, and I said, Brandon, brother, I want you to know, you need to tell me if you're going to do this. And he said, Ted, I am going to run for agricultural commissioner. I want you to consider running for state rep. And of course, that he's not going to endorse me. He can't do that. But he said, I do want you to consider running. We need you to run. And that was great. That's all the affirmation I needed. So we decided to wait and see who filed. No one else filed. And I want the most conservative, I want the ultra conservative candidate to push the button for District 16 and for Montgomery County. We don't have that candidate. And I was praying that we would have that candidate, that surely we have someone to take Brandon's position. But for this season, for this time in life, I'm willing to stand in the gap for Montgomery County District 16. The thing that we have is an opportunity for us, though, to continue in the process of being this conservative county that we've always been. We're going to face incredible challenges in the next 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 years. Y'all know it. With so many blue shirts coming here, we know what we've got. We can't have an inexperienced representative, whether it's be Woodlands, 15, 16, any of our other. We've got to go and be ready to fight. We've got to be happy warriors. And I find myself in a position where it looks like the lots fall upon me. And it's in God's decision whether or not I am the one. But I pray every chance I get to stand before you guys to make you realize, or to help you realize, that I am the candidate that can carry forth the values that you hold true. So here's where we are. I'm a pastor. I love pastoring. I'm a headmaster. I love education. I have a PhD in education. Y'all know all about that side of me. Lots of experience, 8 kids, 35 years of marriage, 25 years in business. So I've got the total package, but the question is, do you want me to go and represent you? And that's the message I'm trying to get out. That who I am, what I offer, and let the county decide this is the guy.
Okay, let's start with you.
All right. Mention you're a pastor. What's your view on religion and politics and religion?
They're intertwined. Christian values are values that we were founded on as a country. It's the values that I am. Who I am in the pulpit, who I am every day of my life as a Christian husband and dad, it will influence the decisions I make. I cannot separate the two. There is no separation. Who we are as godly men and women, and that will make the decisions as we lead as legislators. I strongly believe that every candidate should have, if you're a believer, you understand this, you know God's Word, Titus 1, 1 Timothy 3, that should be the standard for the candidates that we elect in the state of Texas. We are a Christian organization as far as our founding fathers, what we're about, And set that aside, just the character and the integrity of the office should demand a life above reproach. And that's what I plan to be. And that's, I think after 39 years as a pastor, every day I earn the right to be a pastor for another day. And if my life is not up to that standard, then I'm out of the pulpit. And that's the way it should be. And that should be the standard for every elected official.
And what about the other side of that question? Politics and religion?
Oh, absolutely. We even, certainly, as far as we're bringing political questions into the religious arena. We should, I hope that's what you're saying.
No, to what extent should politicians regulate religion and stuff like that, or regulate their religious beliefs on others?
Zero, yeah, absolutely, right. There is no influence. It's a one-way deal here.
Okay.
We're certainly, yeah, we are protected from that, from any influence.
You just said that you've been a pastor for 39 years. Did I hear that right?
Yes, sir.
39 years.
Mhm.
And then you've been a business owner. Could you explain that?
He's 89.
Sorry?
No.
It was a small joke, very small.
Very smart. You guys been together too long here. You're reading each other's jokes. That's really good. I think I'll pull that question out.
Is it?
Yes, sir. What happened here, when I finished my doctoral work in 1993, Johnny, my wife, and I, Johnny has a master's in education, and she's about to be Dr. Seago as well here in May of 2014 with a doctorate in educational leadership. So education is a major part of our life in addition to ministry for all these years. We found, she was working for the Department of Education back in 1993 too. And we had children in Houston. We were adopted. We adopted 3. We had birthed 2 at that point. And she was working for the Department of Education, finishing her master's work. I was at the University of Houston, finishing my doctoral work. And we decided that we looked at, and we were part of the research team, going into Texas schools in Houston to see what the future of education looked like in Texas. We saw a very bleak future there. And so we decided to homeschool our children. And I figured with 5 degrees on the wall, we should be able to pull that off, and we did. We began homeschooling, and we started a company at that point. We started out just homeschooling our kids in our little upstairs bedroom kind of deal. But before we knew it, there were 30 people coming to our house and 60 people coming to our house because of the educational we started offering classes for others. And a business was born from that. And before we knew it, we had 6 campuses in Dallas and Fort Worth and Austin, 300 students coming to our program. And our business, we started Parent and Child Educational Services, meaning that we met with families that wanted to take over the education of their children. If they wanted to stay in public school, private school, public homeschool, we would help you do that. We became educational consultants. And we offered classes for homeschool students. So before we knew it, we had a wonderful business that was booming, many cities. We had a lot of kids coming. We were helping families get back involved in education. And it was an exciting time. And from that, since that time, 23 years later, we're still offering. We're now to the point where we're probably franchising our company around the state because our kids are all graduated into college and graduated from college now. So our business stays strong. We know that educational choice is a topic that you hear about today, and I have a lot to say about that. But we also know for every family in Montgomery County should have the choice on how they want their children educated. And we offered that option. And we've been doing that for 23 years on a small scale. So we're down now to 1 campus with about 130 students. And these students graduate all early. Most of them graduate at 15 or 16. They're in college at that point. They graduate from college by the time they're 19 or 20 and on into law school or master's degree programs. So we have it's a classical model, if you're aware of that. And it's an incredible opportunity for folks to really take over the education of their children. So it's a small business that's had a niche market, and it has a great market for the future.
So as state legislator, what is your understanding, what is the most important freedom that we need to preserve? And you as state legislature would What is the most critical liberty issue?
I'm so glad you asked that, because I tell everybody wherever I go, whether it's on the doorstep, and we've talked to, hundreds of families in neighborhoods. You'll know how I'm going to vote because it's very simple. As an ultra-conservative, a passionate conservative around this table, you vote based on, you look at a bill, and I've been looking at bills like this now for 6 years. Is it enhancing personal liberty, or is it taking away personal liberty? All right, that's your first choice. You look at a bill saying, is this going to enhance the liberty that we offer our constituents in our county and our state? The second thing you look at, is this going to create more government or less government? Is it going to be more regulations or less regulations? The last thing we need is more regulations in Texas. We've about regulated ourselves out of the education ministry or business, and so many other areas as far as entrepreneurship. And then the third thing you have to look at when you're passing a bill, is it good for Montgomery County? Is it good for our district? Is it good for our families? Personal liberty, less government are the two key factors that you got to look at when you're looking at bills. Now, when you start thinking about personal liberty, you start thinking about, okay, economic opportunity, transportation, are we creating an opportunity for families to have an enjoyable life? Are we building a climate of can-do spirit? Are we creating a district where people want to live? With Texas having 1,000 people moving here a day in the state of Texas, I think we've done something for Texas right. And we know that Rick Perry is going to play that into a presidential nomination, in the future, because Texas is the place to be. We know this county is one of the hottest counties in our state as well. Well, to create that, we've got to make sure that we're not over-regulating and creating an atmosphere that's going to hurt the personal entrepreneurship opportunity that we have.
So let me ask the question a different way, because okay, you've got freedom of speech, freedom of the press, freedom of religion, Second Amendment, on and on and on. My question really was, of those amendments, which is the most important?
Well, 10, you didn't mention 10, of course, but we want to make sure that we have the opportunity. If you're doing just amendments?
No. Liberties. Of all the liberties, what are you going to die on the hill over? What liberty do you think is the crucial one?
I'm not really sure how you
Okay.
want to make one more crucial, because they're all interactive. We have to create a climate where Texans are free, and we have a free enterprise system. If we're doing, we have social issues, and we have we have business issues, we have economic issues. On the economic side, we have to create a climate where businesses and you as families want to start, and my children that are graduating, your families coming back to Montgomery County. For the first time in a long time, we can tell all our kids that are graduating from college, come back to Montgomery County. You don't have to go to California, you don't have to go East Coast, come back here, because of the atmosphere we created with personal business opportunities. That's the thing. But we also have the social side, where in Texas, we've got to make sure that we're maintaining the values that's made us great, and those end up being, the marriage issue, the sanctity of life issues, those other issues that value. I mean, you can have a business climate, and then you can have a really sorry social, family climate. So we have to make sure we're keeping those straight. So as a legislator, and what I've been doing, we've got to look at that. I've been working on the social side, but very active on the economic side, because those things go hand in hand.
Yeah.
Okay, one of your answers was that one of your priorities will be adoption reform, pro-family issues and so forth. What did you have in mind for adoption reform?
So you read the paper? Did you? That was a funny thing. That's the only thing that they picked up from that. And I did not distinguish myself. I plan to distinguish myself in the next forum. I like the opportunity to think that when you're passing bills, guys, you have to look at, this bill is being passed in 2011. For example, the sonogram bill. If you have the sonogram bill passed in 2011, well, by the time you get to 2013, what is the next bill? Well, preborn pain bill, regulatory bills, the omnibus bills, we got all that. Every bill should have some challenges and some outpouring of results for that bill. what's gonna happen, why we're gonna have to have a bill, whether I offer it or someone else, because of the preborn pain bill, and babies are gonna be saved, we're creating an environment, as Terry Jaggers and I are talking about, and we're already planning this, we're creating an environment where we have a lot of babies that are gonna need homes. Right now, it takes 3 years for a sweet 9-year-old to be put in a foster care and then be adopted. That is ridiculous, right? It is ridiculous that a child is put in a home at 9 years old and it takes 3 years and they're 12 before they find mom and dad again. So we can do that, and Montgomery County is doing a great job of that. And Terry, the Child Welfare Board, they're doing a great job there, and I'm working real carefully, closely with them. So that was why I said that. I know without a fact that is a need of Texans. But as a legislator, I may be a throwback candidate, but I've been doing this long enough. I realize representatives have to represent the current issues of your county, current issues of your district. And in 2014, we have a year where we're gonna elect some people. But 2015, we need to know going into 2014, what are the issues that we gotta go after? Now, we have transportation, we got water, we have education, but there's other issues, little foxes that we gotta take care of. And I love the opportunity of representing those that need a family. We have families in Montgomery County that are ready to adopt, whether it be babies, whether it be 2, 6, 4, 8, 10, 12. I adopted a 15-year-old and a 16-year-old. I adopted a 19-year-old. You know, I've done the upper, and I adopted a 3-month-old. I adopted a 3-year-old. So I understand all that, and it's hard, and it should not be that hard. So that's a passion of mine, to take care of the 347 babies or children in Montgomery County tonight that do not have a home.
James.
You talked earlier about how, you pass a law, inevitably a new bureaucracy comes with it, government grows, and that sort of thing. So I'd like to ask you about a particular item that has tremendously increased the cost of our jails, the people we have to keep in jail, our prisons, and law enforcement, and of course, that's dealing with marijuana. Now, we currently have alcohol, that's illegal. It's illegal to drive when you're under the influence. I'm not talking about making it legal when it's dangerous. But so far as personal use or personal possession is concerned, can you justify continuing to spend billions of dollars at the state level on people that possess marijuana for some, I guess, moral reason or whatever reason you'd like to provide? And I'll tell you, I understand the effects of it. I think everybody does. I saw it in my first marriage. Now, if you want to have her arrested, I won't fight you on that. But other than those situations, how can we justify filling our jails with people that are simply users, not dealers, but users?
Right, I was trying to find the document here that has the questions with that. I don't know if y'all are aware of the Texas Policy, Public Policy Foundation.
Yeah.
If those are all good friends of mine. I've been through their training.